my name is Solène. I'm 34 years old. I'm from France, but I live in London in the UK. So I grew up in a small town in Normandy. Up until about 7 or 8, I was happy, I would say, very free and confident. And as soon as the bullying started, then my childhood completely flipped and I became excluded by everyone in my class. I was overweight, and so I was bullied for that, and it very quickly turned into self-hatred and a lot of isolation, a lot of loneliness. I think a lot of people look for one big defining moment, and there's definitely the bottom of the bottom, but there were lots of times where I felt like this is the bottom. No, hang on. Now is the bottom. Not now is the bottom. So it was over several years. My main coping mechanism was to travel. If something is wrong, it's okay. Just book a plane ticket, go somewhere. And then COVID happened. So I lost my number one coping mechanism, and that was really when the spiral just kept getting more and more difficult. I lost my job because I was working in the travel industry. For several years I had thoughts around suicide and ideation, and it got to the point, the bottom of the bottom, when I started formulating plans, and thankfully I didn't go through with it. When I did decide to live in that instant, it was like, well, I can't live like this anymore. And that's when, I looked for help. And that was the beginning of the journey that led me to the psychiatric assessment and to being told, you've probably been living with something for a long time, and it's called borderline personality disorder. And I was like, there's a name, great! It was a relief, which surprises a lot of people. BPD at its worst was unbearable. It was thoughts that were telling me that I'm a failure, that I'm a piece of S, excuse my French. It was emotions that were shifting so rapidly, going from extreme anger to extreme sadness. And then it was body sensations as well. I think we don't talk a lot about how your mental health can impact and exist in your body. With BPD at its worst, you don't get a break. I'm so much happier now with my life, and it feels like in many ways just the beginning. I got married, yay! So that's happy times. I've had a change of career. I have a job right now where I work in diversity and inclusion, and I help disabled innovators access funding to create businesses and thrive. And that gives me a lot of sense of purpose. I have my own company called Beyond Borders. I love writing, so I've published 4 books all around identity, belonging, travel, looking for home. I feel in myself much stronger and much more skillful. I'm not gonna lie, it's not every day a bliss. Sometimes I even know that I'm in my own way. I feel like when you are in recovery, you're so aware. It gives you that opportunity to choose the healthy choice, and I feel like I do that more and more. One thing that I'm proud of that I could not have done before, I started a talk show in January this year called The Inclusion Conversation. When BPD was at its worst, I would tell myself, you're too fat, you're too French, you're too loud, you're blah, 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 you name it. All of the criticism in my head that prevented me from even trying. I feel like now, finally, I'm able to give myself that permission. It's not like I'm super confident and I'm hey, now I'm a presenter, but I'm I'll get there. Step by step, just build a little bit more confidence. In terms of hobbies, I love to travel. This is my number one hobby. I spent 7.5 years working in the travel industry previously. I love to read and write. I walk a lot, and it helps me a lot with my mental health. So in terms of long-term life goals, I really want to change the world. It sounds huge, but I do, and I think the way that I'd love to do that is to bring more connection and exchange, because when you get to know other people, you realize that really we're so similar. We're all human, and we're all moved by a lot of the same things, like caring about our health, our happiness, our family, all of these things. And so that's really one big goal. I don't know how you achieve that or measure that, but that is my biggest goal. If you're really struggling with BPD symptoms, first thing I would say is I can relate 100%. And can I swear? It's okay to feel rubbish. It's okay. Your emotions are valid. Just give yourself time. It will take time. And sometimes even, after 6 months, a year, 2 years, you have a week that is like horrible. And you're like, no. Recovery is not linear. It's okay. It'll get better. It'll pass. My life is worth living in massive part because of my parents, my sister, and my husband. They helped me so much, and I'm so grateful for them. My purpose makes my life worth living. The fact that, I'm here to help people. And finally, just because I'm alive, my life is worth living. I never thought that before. We're always doing stuff. We're human doings, but we forget that we're human beings. And actually, what if we flipped it? My life is worth living because I'm alive. And now I get the chance to go and figure out what I can do with that. And I think that's absolutely amazing.